Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the VIP Play Today show. We have a ton to talk about today. We're actually introducing the newest member of the VIP Play team as well, Will Heflin. You'll get to meet him. Robert's going to take him down the five burning questions, and we'll see if he can handle it. I'm pretty confident he can. And we've got March Madness in action. We've got some NFL free agency continued. I think Robert might just have to talk about the Mavericks once again today. It's going to be a great show. Hope everyone's been doing well, been happy, been healthy. It's been a great time for betting March Madness. MLB opening day was last night. There's a lot to talk about with MLB. I played baseball for the entirety of my childhood, so I'm a little bit scarred. But Juan Soto, man, that's a tough way to start your career as a Met. But we'll see if he picks it up. It's funny, both Robert and I are both Mets fans, or were. I am a fair weather fan, I'll have to admit it. But we'll talk everything sports as you can expect. Robert will come in and tie it to how these sports news items relate to the gambling lines attached to them, and we'll have some fun doing it. So, as usual on Fridays, if you are watching this stream, and irregardless of whether you're watching this stream, we're running a promotion on Zen Sports where if you make three bets from now until 5:30 p.m. EST, you'll earn a 20% boost if the first of those three bets hit. Check the Zen Sports app for full terms and conditions. I think there's some specific items like the three bets have to be the exact same amount. But read the terms and conditions, opt into the promotion, and have some fun betting while we're live. Zen Sports, it's been a lot of fun, but as you all know, we are very close to launching the new VIP Play app. I really think by early next week, we'll have a final date for everybody as to when that's coming out. Still mid-April, there has been no pushbacks on our end or delays of any kind. We are ready to go. And as soon as I have that date confirmed, I'll make sure everybody knows. If you are an existing customer, you probably have been talking to me or another team member. Just know that tomorrow you'll be getting an email regarding early access bonuses or early commitment bonuses for VIP Play. That's going to come to the email attached to your Zen Sports account. You probably know the terms considering you've been talking to me, but if you don't, if you're an existing Zen Sports customer, everyone will be getting an email, so look out for that. We can't wait for you all to live bet with us now, to take same game parlays, to take promotional specials attached to Tony Basilio, Paul Kaharski, A to Z, all our amazing partners. They'll have their own bets on the app. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's been a long time coming, building out the VIP Play app, and we can't wait to share it with you all. So as I said, check your email. And as always, we've got our sweepstakes to cover. Understand that the VIP Play app will launch with its own sweepstakes. The month ends real soon, right? We got 3 days left. So not a ton of time left to make bets, to get entries. If you want to maximize your entries, remember to make parlays. That gets you a 10x multiplier. I'm actually going to pull up my screen here and share with you all the terms of the current sweepstakes, just so you're aware. Right, this is the Big Bucket Club sweepstakes. We're in March. There's mayhem and there's madness, and you can participate by betting on Zen Sports. If you are the winner of the sweepstakes, you'll take home a $10,000 bonus bet or $5,000 cash. It's one of the two. There's one grand prize. You can actually see on Zen Sports what your percent chance is to win that grand prize. Some people it's 0.005%. Some people it's 5%, right? The more you bet, the higher your chances are. You earn entries on every bet you place, right? We've got 20 additional prizes too. That means one grand prize, 20 additional prizes, 21 total. We'll be pulling the winner next Thursday. And if you win an additional prize, you're going to take home an $100 bonus bet on the championship game or $50 cash. There is always the option to take the cash prize. That cash is all claims met. You can bet that cash. You can withdraw that cash. It is yours. As I said, we're going to be pulling the winners live on April 3rd. That's a Thursday. It's going to be at 3 p.m. CST. Um, if you've participated in one of our sweepstakes before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Should be a lot of fun. Should be exciting to see the winner. You know, we see it at the same time you do, and that's really exciting for everybody. In addition, right, to understand how you earn entries, it's going to be one entry per bet placed. It's going to be one entry per dollar bet. So a $6 bet, sorry, a $5 bet will get you 5 bonus entries. It'll be 6 entries total. And if it's a parlay, you're going to multiply it by 10. So a $5 parlay would get you 60 entries. A $5 straight bet would get you 6. We will bring Robert on here shortly. As you see in our agenda today, we're going to talk about the Sweet 16. I know we had some action last night. No favorites really seem to stop their momentum. I know that Arkansas game was close. If you follow our show and have watched past episodes, you remember Charlie from A to Z Nashville actually picked Arkansas as the team outside the 25 to have the highest chance to win the tournament. So he was right. Obviously, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but Arkansas is a 10 seed showing up and putting a game into overtime. I mean, there was a lot of good action yesterday. Duke came out on top. I mean, that Duke game had 193 points scored. Love on Arizona just was automatic in the 3. Great game. I mean, a lot of points scored last night, actually. In the BYU, I mean, Alabama's been putting up crazy numbers. I didn't expect Alabama to do this good. It's like a huge offensive team. It's kind of the opposite of Tennessee, but we'll talk about it with Robert because he knows everything and anything there is to be about the tournament. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. The Giants are out here signing quarterbacks. Robert made a great point. Like, look back to 2015. You got Russell Wilson off a Super Bowl, back-to-back Super Bowls. You got Jameis Winston, first overall pick of the draft, and now they're right next to each other in that locker room. So we'll talk about the NFL. We know everyone's looking to bet in the NFL. Can't wait for that season to start. And then we're going to introduce Will. So Will's the newest hire at VIP Play Inc. Will is a local Tennessee native. He played baseball at UT, and he's now a VIP. He's the director of partnerships and acquisition at VIP Play. He's someone I'll work with very closely. Robert will as well. And he will spearhead our VIP program. So lots of awesome stuff to talk about with Will. He's going to get burned. And then we'll talk about the Vols versus the Cats tonight. 7:39, baby. All right. Well, if Robert's ready, let's bring him on. The one and only Mr. Kowalski.
What's going on, Jacob?
Not much, man. Happy Friday. I know we've talked a little bit today already. Looking to have another great VIP Play Today show and bring on our newest hire in Will.
Yeah, definitely excited for today's episode. Is a lot to cover, obviously. I mean, every single week we just keep finding new things that are happening in the world of sport. And what better time than we are right now? I mean, we're deep into the tournament, men's, women's. I really try and pack away NFL into a tidy little corner. It just keeps coming back. So there's things that we could talk about there. Actually, I want to lead right now, if I can, just to talk about yesterday's LA-Chicago game. Are you kidding me with that last 12 seconds of that basketball game? I couldn't believe. I mean, this is what I literally wake up for, to see games end like that in any kind of level. That was complete and total madness. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Go look at it now. Well, don't look at it now. You're with us now. Look it up later.
Yeah, that was a surprise result for sure. We had some wagers on that market.
Yes, we did.
So I looked at that and I said, "Wow, that's a surprise. That's not what the book expected to happen." Robert, you brought up a great point earlier, talking about the disparity or the, I don't want to say inequality, but you made a point that there's zero mid-major teams in the Sweet 16 this year, right?
Yeah,
First off, tell us what a mid-major is. And then secondly, I think you think this has to do with NIL.
yeah, it has a lot to do with NIL. You're right. I never thought we would end up, bringing this subject up, but it's clearly something that needs to be discussed. It used to be, and a procedure that happens that we really never thought of, but it's simply out in the open now. It's basically regulated. So, okay, to call back to the beginning, right? Where college basketball, a mid-major. So if you're not basically SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC at this time, Big East, then you're a mid-major. You're someone that's not that conference.
Got it?
When we had the concept of NIL, name, image, likeness, become created just years ago. This was something that I didn't think that would be just kind of blossoming into the direction that it is, right? So basically, where are we at, right? Let me kind of cover where we're at with NIL. So the NCAA's name, image, and likeness, we'll just call it NIL rules. They allow college basketball players to earn money through endorsements, sponsorships, business opportunities I've seen here locally, in Northern Nevada, maintaining their eligibility. So here's some of the key points without going into super crazy detail. Basically they could profit. Student athletes can now profit from NIL. They can sign endorsement deals, promote products, receive compensation for their personal brand. They can earn money from social media, merch sales, autograph signings, personal appearances. Okay, but the schools cannot directly pay these players. The college and universities cannot directly compensate them for participation in sports. They have to come from third parties, like an auto dealership or a supermarket, something like that. Then there's collectives and boosters. We know about boosters, right? But NIL collectives, these are groups that are funded by boosters and businesses that pool money to help athletes secure deals. NCAA has placed some restrictions, I think, on booster involvement to prevent direct pay-for-play schemes. Jacob, it's Pandora's box exploded tenfold, right?
That's crazy.
And it's never coming back in, right? So, and so let's get back to where we're at right now with the Sweet 16 and the brackets, and then I'll probably come back to this because I've been studying it since forever. I think several top seeded mid-major teams were knocked out of their conference tournaments, and that tends to happen every few years. It's not necessarily a significant trend. Plus, if not for a wild buzzer beater, CSU could have been in the Sweet 16, so I don't see it as a major shift. Big East, in my opinion, had a down year. Arguably its weakest in the past decade. Anyone watching the conference could see that St. John's had clear weaknesses, that a longer, more athletic team could take advantage of. I could talk about the Arkansas game for this entire episode, but I don't want to bore you guys. I had high expectations, but we'll come back to St. John's. ACC, they also underperformed, right? So UNC didn't meet their preseason expectations, and then, the whole big hubbub was, okay, well, you've got to, you got into the first four, you won that game, and, they, bowed out pretty early right there. So Duke was significantly better than the rest of the conference there. SEC and the Big Ten, they had relatively strong seasons compared to other conferences. However, the new Big Ten additions, which is Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC, they were underwhelming, Jacob, and then I think the SEC newcomers, Oklahoma, Texas, they kind of collapsed late in their conference tournaments. Big 12 are still elite, okay? And interestingly, the three newer teams, Houston, BYU, and Arizona, look at where they are. Arizona lost, but they're really, really performing well. BYU especially, I think that there's serious growth that school could have. So right now, with a plethora, we started with 14 SEC teams. I think we're down to 6. We'll come back to that. They're still in a tournament, right? And it doesn't justify having 14 in. It seems like that talent market is becoming more efficient, where the top mid-major players, just get poached by power conferences, and if this trend continues, Jacob, Cinderella stories, like we talked about in the last episode, I just don't think that we're going to see that anymore. It's not great for the TV product.
No,
Teams like
it's
Big
not.
Grease. So,
You need a Cinderella story. There's nothing close to it this year. I think a
no,
6 seed is all we've got now, and that's not a
yeah.
Cinderella story.
No, it's not. I mean, it's we have what we have, and right now I don't know. Do we want to root for something like that? Obviously, we always want to root for dogs. We just
Of
want to
course we
root for
do.
great close games. So to come back to how NIL and then specifically this transfer portal works, right? So St. John's, yes, St. John's, they were the 2 seed. And the way they performed, obviously, everyone wants to take a look at what happened with RJ Lewis Jr. I don't know if it's kind of dating me, but I had flashbacks to John Starks. The kid just kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and he kept missing and missing. I'm like, can someone please do something? And actually, oh my God, Rick Pitino did do something. He pulled him out of the game. That was bold, but it's Rick Pitino, right? So we're going to probably lose 3 starters from this year's roster. Seniors, Devin Smith, Kadaria Richmond, Aaron Scott. So they're gone. They all play between 27 and 32 minutes per game. Then the status of juniors, RJ Lewis and, Zuby, those 2 guys, I'm assuming are going to come back. At least it's what I'm hearing immediately, that we're going to get 6 or 7, returning, which is great. They are our top scorers, highly regarded NBA prospects. That's kind of yet to be determined. So the transfer portal, right? Right now, I think that St. John's is tight, but everyone is getting absolutely decimated. Jacob, the amount of players that have entered the transfer portal, it's got to be over 1,200 players. 1,200 college
It's just so easy now.
No, it's just,
And you say St. John's is tight, right? But they don't know. One player leaves, and then it's so easy for everybody else to leave. There's no barrier of entry. It's like, hey, you want to be a free agent this year? You want to go, see what your NIL value is? It's just like free agency, but even less constrained, right? The schools have less of a grasp of these players. The thing I'm thinking about is it definitely affects their education, right? If you're going to a different school for 4 years of basketball that easily, focusing on how much money you can make. I mean, you're not playing school. I know somebody said that, but I got kind of an interesting hypothetical, right? If let's say NCAA, they realize, hey, we made a mistake here. You said you opened a Pandora's box that can't be turned off. Let's say after this tournament's over, NCAA takes their stance back. They say no more NIL. I don't think it's possible, but what do you think happens there? Is there like a shift away from college sports in the US? Could it be that catastrophic?
Nailed it. You nailed it 100%. And by the way, just to call back to, them going to school, come on. Right. Yeah. The only classes they honestly need is probably like finance and just having an idea of how to like manage their money. If anything else, that's what these players are doing. So to call back, right? So the transfer portal was it's opening basically the day March Madness begins. Really bad idea, right? Because you have players. I think it was Michigan State. They were finding out that they were like half their team was going to be entering the transfer portal. And I'm like, okay, well, we're in the tournament, so can we concentrate on these games?
No,
and
of course you can't.
We're not. It's about
They're
me. They're
focused on how much money they can make.
And how much money I can make, right? So you enter the transfer portal. How do you enter, right? A player. So Jacob Schrader says, you know what? I'm a baller. I know I get mine. I'm averaging 15, 10. I got 3 blocks a game. I'm going to notify the school's compliance officer. I'm going to transfer. So now the school has to enter the athlete's name into the portal within 24 hours. And then once they're in the portal, the other schools can now start contacting you for recruitment. So the window, the spring window is March 18th to May 1st. That's already been changed. It's going to be a week later, and it has to be a week later. The
Okay.
fall window is December 1st to December 15th, which is the midseason option. And graduate transfers, I think they can enter at any time. So there's a one-time transfer rule. Athletes can transfer once without sitting out a season. If a player transfers a second time, they may need a waiver to play immediately. So, and Jacob, you nailed it. You nailed it. Why, right? So some players transferred to just simply chase better NIL opportunities.
Yeah.
Schools with stronger NIL collectives offer attract top transfers, and this is exactly what happened year over year. Okay, I'm promise you, I'm not going to make this the St. John's episode, but that's exactly what happened when Rick Pitino became head coach, right?
Yep.
He brought in a system in place. First off, his name alone already attracts stars. So take a look at what happened. Arizona State's got this wingman. His name is Joe Sansanin. He is a freshman. Kid can ball. Excellent. Just the definition of a wingman. He's gone. Where's he going? St. John's. That's it. Look him up in Arizona State. He, as a freshman, the kid was doing really, really great things. And he's now committed to St. John's. So he's going to be the starter. Probably at shooting guard with, Wilcher and Sannon's probably going to be in the backcourt. I'm going to cross my fingers and say it's going to be RJ Lewis, Prey, and then probably either Zuby or some of the, maybe even Maker, because there's some really good talent that's waiting in the wings to play. But, Jacob, again, with over 1,200 Division I players that have already entered the transfer portal since it opened on Monday, just 4 days ago.
Wow.
Right? It's far, far exceeded the previous year's totals, year over year. So that's what they do, right? And so schools, they can still set some conditions. They can restrict access to certain resources like team facilities once a player enters the portal. However, they simply cannot block a player from transferring. It's up to them where they want to go. It's a whole new game. So what do you do now, NCAA? You do nothing. If you choose to say, we're not having this, we're not doing the transfer portal, we're not going to let you do any kind of NIL deals, that's perfectly fine. Kids will play high school here, and they'll go play in Europe, where Europe and the European leagues are more than happy to take on the balance of power, where United States basketball was, the preeminent place to develop and play. Not anymore. Certainly not anymore. There's so much talent in Europe that I can't wait to see. As a matter of fact, I think I just read something where Adam Silver said he wanted to really start to develop a partnership with the NBA and FIBA, so that the EuroLeague becomes far more than the EuroLeague. We'll see how that plays itself out, but yeah.
Did the Ball family have any role in the growth of European basketball?
I think they did. I mean, it's not completely a way to say, man, this is kind of a great way to develop and move in. But I mean, that's exactly what they did. I'm, proud to see, them, stepping out of perhaps what may have been their comfort zone. But I mean, heck, look at what they've done. They made themselves, at least one of them's a star.
Yeah, he's a big star.
Yeah.
I remember the dad sent him there, and they didn't want to go, but he knew what he was doing. He reminds me a little bit of Amon-Ra St. Brown's dad, who added Saint to their last name when they were born because he thought it would look better in an NFL jersey. That's a baller dad, that's for sure.
Yep.
That's a hot take. So we've covered 0-6 or 0 mid-major teams in the Sweet 16. Why is that? Is because of NIL. We've talked a little bit about what happened to St. John's and what happens next year. On the St. John's matter, right? Arkansas versus St. John's, Pitino versus Calipari. Who's got the better legacy of those two head coaches?
I 6 of one, half a dozen of another, in my opinion. I honestly think both of them are easy first-minute Hall of Famers. They absolutely are masters of their game. I could go with as many superlatives as I could think of for the both of them, but I think that, whenever you mention their names, that they bring an incredible just incredible catalog, not only the knowledge of the game, but how they develop a player and position them to succeed on the next level. What Calipari's done with Arkansas. I mean, look, yeah, last night was really strange. I mean, I knew first off Texas Tech, to just touch on the game, very quickly. Texas Tech's a really great program. I didn't expect them to get into such a massive hole against Arkansas, but it happened, right? I'm like, well, okay, they're that good. But as it was, the Red Raiders, they completed I think it was the second largest comeback ever in Sweet 16 history. I think the other stat was, Calipari was something like 30-0 when leading by 6 or more points at the half. Yep. So that's gone.
Great coaches always have that stat. If they're leading at the half, great. Sean McVay has that stat. I don't know about Belichick. So Calipari and Pitino, are they the best two college basketball coaches of all time?
Well, I mean, John Wooden might have something to say about that, I think, but they have to be in the modern era easily in the discussion for Mount Rushmore status, right? Let's go with that, right? So just in the modern era of the game that is today.
If they're on Mount Rushmore in the modern era, can anyone sit on that hill with them?
Who else could? I mean, it's possible if we take a look at it. I mean, first off, if we look at the accolades of the both of them, right? They've got multiple championships. And if you take a look at how they've developed the players, I have to say that the only ones, who else could I possibly add to it? If we look at, man, it's not Krzyzewski. He's already retired. I mean, so it's really tough to find who else. I mean, Roy Williams. That's about it.
I can't think of anybody. When I think of dominant college basketball coaches, those are the two that come to mind. It's crazy their careers have intersected in the way they have, right? They're playing each other again this year. There's some funny news interviews from maybe 20 years ago about the two of them, and they're laughing and they're relatively friendly, and they're still competing against each other today.
Yes, they are. And I honestly don't want to see them ever leave. They seriously, I mean, for Pitino, I literally want to give him a lifetime contract. Just here, have whatever you want. Here's just whatever you want to drive, wherever you want to live, whatever you want to eat. Just here, have it. Just never leave. Never leave the program. And if you want to bring your son here too, for legacy, bring your son here too when you're done. Just I don't want to ever think about him being done ever again. This is too good a ride right now. And New York basketball is absolutely back. And it's thanks to Rick Pitino.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I can imagine as a fan, it's pretty exciting, right? Knowing you're getting that coach here and you're getting that coach, watching the success over this past year, it's just got to be exciting for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like a light switch. It had the game, all the games that were played in the first year. We knew that was going to have to be a bit of a learning curve, get the team developed, and then this coming season, I'm like, man, wait a second. There's talks about them being ranked top 25 before the season even began. I'm like, no, this is too much for me to handle. And throughout the year, I'm like, okay, well, power ranks. I'm like, no, I can't. They already have him in the top 10. This is impossible. I kept thinking the sky is falling, right? Chicken Little. But, either way, their season this year was far beyond my expectations. And I think that what's to come is just going to be building on all that. And you're right, Jacob, to call back to the beginning of the top of our episode, NIL, the transfer portal, this is how it works. This is how it happens so quickly. And it's just a matter of having all the pieces in place. Mid-majors be damned. It honestly, I wish it could have been another way, but this is just the way it is.
Well, it makes a premier and recognizable head coach hiring even that more important, right? If players can switch programs that fluidly, right, it's even more important to have a head coach that stands out, that's marketable. But I hear what you're saying on those preseason projections. As a fan of a team, you never want to see your team expected to win. You want to be able to be on
No,
that podium and
yeah,
saying, "Hey,
no.
everybody doubted us."
Right. Yes. Keep it quiet. Keep it quiet. Now, next season, like St. John's is going to have this massive target on their back. They're like, okay, all those New Yorkers. It's okay. We got this.
Okay, so some great college basketball action. We'll talk with it some more about some more about it with Will. I want to quickly move to the NFL. We've
Okay.
got our first segment here on the New York Giants. Of all teams, the New York Giants are taking the first overall spot today. They've got the third overall pick in the draft. They've just signed two quarterbacks who really couldn't be more different in personality, in play style, right? That's like those two are polar opposites, Russell Wilson and Mr. Jameis, famous Jameis himself. But with these two quarterback pickups, who do you think they're drafting at third overall?
Jacob, I know you, you're just a fan of the guy of all things Jameson. How could you not be,
Yeah.
right? The guy's just got such a great personality about everything, but he can ball, right? He can ball. The question is, how much of a, how much is he going to be able to see the playing field, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
what's the
tough.
plan with these signings?
I
It's like
honestly
they
think
want to
it's
be mediocre. They want the 20, or maybe they're not getting the 20th overall pick next year. It's like they're playing for the 15th overall pick.
no,
They're paying two guys
no, it's
$12 million.
yeah.
They're going to be an average football team at best, and they're getting a solid quarterback, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Jacob, last week, just so I'll tell you right now, last week, the odds for the New York Giants to win the Super Bowl, I set it to 150 to 1. You want to know what the new odds are for the Giants to win the
Uh,
Super Bowl right now?
like 175.
150 to 1. Yes, it should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
175. This is no better. It's not going to change anything, right? This is a stopgap measure. Now, the only thing that makes this a little bit more complex is, do they still draft a quarterback? I mean, you already have three in the room.
Mhm.
So you would think that, okay, there's only one way for this to go. And it's a perfect fit. It's a fit that I actually was wanting to see initially a month ago. We talked about, I said, if there was a way that we could bring in Justin Fields, then we could position for a draft pick that I would like to see at number 3 to complement their offense. We end up with the other Pittsburgh Steeler that was a free agent, which of course is Russ Wilson. So, I mean, in the end, I actually think that they made the better pick of the quarterback that was in the Pittsburgh Steelers, quarterback
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
But I actually thought that I'm like, well, Jameis Winston was probably going to be good enough to run the season. The question is, was he going to be able to make it through the season? Because I don't want to see, DeVito time this year. It's already bad enough, right? So I thought that, okay, the number 3 pick, the way I want this to go is Cam Ward, number 1. Number 2, probably Abdul Carter. And number 3 is who I would prefer is Travis Hunter, right? And so we have, Travis Hunter on the team and having the ball thrown by, whoever it may be, whether it's Russ Wilson or Jameis Winston, I don't care, because you're still going to win 4 or 5 games this year, right?
Yep.
Let's set that number right now, right?
Let's call it how it is.
Let's call it how it is. I think I heard you when I was getting set up here in my new office. I'll have some nice paintings in the back for the next episode as I'm still setting. I literally just set up my whole entire desk like 5 minutes before we went live. But I think I heard you said that it's kind of funny because 10 years ago I think it was Winston Winston. You said Winston was drafted number 1. Russell Wilson was off the back-to-back Super Bowl trips. Fast forward 10 years later, now both of them are on short-term deals with the Giants. It's just, what a ride. Hey, Jameis Winston, how was that ride as starting quarterback for the Giants? What did that last, 4 days? It's just, hey, look, it's going to be a season that, look, you're not beating Philadelphia. You're not beating Washington. You're probably not beating Dallas, right? So you're going to be
Nope.
last in the division. Just don't get hurt. Entertain us.
Yeah. Dallas is in an interesting spot this year, right? Dallas was kind of a powerhouse
Yeah.
3 years ago, right? Dak
Mm.
was looking like he was great. CeeDee Lamb's obviously a beast. They had top five defense. Now it's like we don't know if Dallas is going to be four and what is it, 4-15? No, it'd be 4-13. It's tough with a 17 game schedule, but I feel like they're in such a weird spot where they could be so good, right? They got so much talent on that team, but they it's just like it's not they're not automatic like they used to be, or
No, no.
or for their short period of time.
It was easy for me to always like position them and kind of like mold them into the spot where they're going to be anywhere between like 18, 22, maybe 25 to 1 to win the Super Bowl preseason,
Mhm.
like before free agency. And then I could see, okay, well, you make a move, maybe you make it more like 18, maybe 17 to 1.
Yeah.
Forget it. 50. 50 to 1 is like the best I could do. It's the best I could do because their offensive line got worse already, right? Their defense got worse already. And this is the time where, free agency, you're supposed to make a move, right? You're not,
Haven't done
there's
anything.
nothing. They've done nothing,
Yeah.
right? So, the only thing I could think of is, the draft. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not the right way. I don't like, if I had to give them a grade on free agency, best I could do is a D, and I'm being generous.
I got a funny hypothetical going back to Russell Wilson real quick.
Yes.
Right. So Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, right? They're both playing in MetLife this year, right? For different teams.
Yes.
What's the chance that they have the same locker room spot? And if they do, are they fucking with each other? Is Russell Wilson taken out as, hey, you
Yes.
came in for 4 plays and I would have thrown a 99-yard deep ball?
They have to.
That would be pretty funny, man. If
I
they
wanna see
somehow
that.
recognized they had the same seat in the locker room, because it's the same locker room, right?
It's the same. Well, yeah, it's the same locker room. It is. It is. I mean, if anything, they'll probably, you know what, maybe next door. But yeah, one's painted green, one painted blue. I don't know. It would be really, really funny to see them cross paths, especially knowing that they're in the same building again. It's crazy, crazy.
Yeah.
Never
So
did that. I
speaking
did
of,
not have. No.
yeah, I thought of that as you were explaining the scenario. I just was thinking because I know they switched the field. They changed out the blue for the green. I thought they did the same with the locker room. It'd be pretty funny. Steelers, right? So a lot of people turnover problems, and we're not talking turnovers in terms of turnover the ball. We're talking about last what is it? Last 3 years. The Steelers have had an 100% turnover rate within their locker room of quarterbacks. That's not normal inside the NFL, right? What does that mean? Is that important? Is that just, hey, is that, first of all, could that be the right way to do it?
No.
Right?
Oh, okay. Very good. Please. I'm sorry. Please continue
So
that
you're
thought.
laughing at my take.
Yeah,
I think
no,
that might be
no.
an okay take
No.
because if the quarterback's not working out, replace them. Have a new competition. I'm going to guess your thoughts differ from mine on
No,
this.
no, it's not. I had to think about that, and I said, "Oh my God, no, you're right. That's exactly you're
Something.
echoing me. You're echoing me because I keep saying if you don't have a Super Bowl winning quarterback, dump it all and try again. Right? The
Yeah.
next year, you got to clear out the room, and that's exactly
Dump
what
and
they're doing.
change,
So
baby.
you're right. You're right. It's exactly what you're supposed to do. So okay, last year. Who was, okay, it was Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, right? So obviously, right? So they're gone.
Yeah.
Now it's Mason Rudolph, right? Have fun with that. Whatever. If it ends up being Aaron Rodgers, then fine. I'm counting.
like-
No, it's got to be Mason Rudolph, and then maybe who's the kid from UCLA?
They got Kenny Pickett
Thompson.
and they got Mitch Trubisky. I feel like all three of those guys are the same person.
That's right.
They've literally got the same person dressed
It was
in.
it was Pickett, right? And then and Mitch Trubisky, which forget it. And then it was then the next year was Russ Wilson, Justin Fields, and now it's Mason Rudolph, and then the kid from UCLA, Skylar Thompson. It's so bad. But no, it's not so bad because you don't have a quarterback. But the team is built to like win now.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you don't have a quarterback to do it with, right? So the best you can do, is maybe make the playoffs, maybe 9 wins, Right
I mean,
now,
this can't be their plan, though. They're too talented. They got like the best defense in football. They just signed a receiver to 30 million a year, and they've got
right?
a great wide receiver too. This can't be their final plan, man. You can't go into this. I mean, Mitch Trubisky is horrible. Kenny Pickett is horrible. Mason Rudolph can at least throw the ball.
I this is not going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. If you're starting week 1 with Mason Rudolph, I'm telling you right now, prepare for sadness. You're going to end up, the best you're going to do is 9 wins, right?
You're
And I don't
speaking of the
want to hear,
choir.
it's just the
Tennessee
base.
just dealt with this a little bit.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. No, it's not. It's not going to end up becoming a good season in any way. I think that they're going to have to. I don't know if it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Then we could have a conversation about that. Right now,
Yeah.
I have him more likely to becoming, like a hermit rather than becoming an NFL starting quarterback. But we'll see. You're absolutely right. My God, what kind of turnover is this? But I guess it kind of plays into what I want them to do. If you
Yeah.
don't have a quarterback, try again. Just keep
Maybe they
finding
are
one.
waiting for Aaron Rodgers. That would make sense, but I have heard nothing about that. And all I've heard from the Steelers is, hey, if you don't want to play for us, then you're not playing for us, right? Make up your mind. That's what I heard last.
Yeah, who knows? They may end up actually making a move and dealing for one of the top quarterbacks. Who knows? Maybe they go out and get Jackson Dart. To be a quarterback in the quarterback room with Rudolph and Thompson. That might happen. I think he's pretty. We'll see. There's a lot still that's going to have to play itself out with the draft. Maybe that's what they're waiting for, and then they go ahead and introduce their quarterback. But it's, whew,
I bet they wish they took someone like Bo Nix last year. I mean, that would have been perfect for them.
God,
I don't
Bo
know if they
Nix.
had the chance to get him in terms of the draft order, but a guy like
Ah,
that who can run an offense, be mobile with the ball,
you could have
not turn the ball
moved
over.
up. Yeah, you could have
Yeah.
moved up. You could have, no
I mean, they're
doubt.
calling for the head coach's name. I mean, that dude's like a legacy head coach. He's never had a season under 500, and
No,
they want him
no.
out of there.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that.
That guy dealt with Antonio Brown with all of the drama, and he pumped out. I mean, not that. I mean, for the last couple seasons, Antonio Brown wasn't the stud that he was before,
Right,
but there's
right.
certainly a lot of drama in Pittsburgh at one point.
Too much, right? And so, also, by the way, Pittsburgh Steeler fans, grass is not always greener. Okay, when you have, like, Jake, great point. You call him legacy coach. He is a legacy coach. He's a leader, and he turns you know chicken salad out of chicken shit, basically. And it's basically what I would hope to have in any kind of an NFL coach. But you're right.
Yeah,
It's that quarterback. It all starts there, and
he's ballsy too.
he
He
is.
he
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 is.
intentionally. I think he got fined a couple. I mean, it was probably a while ago, like 10 years ago, for stopping that kick return.
I
He knew
remember
what he was
that.
doing,
Yes,
man.
of
That's what I
course.
loved. Started realized I liked that guy is when you saw him look out of the corner of his eye, look at the scoreboard, see he was blocking the. I think it was the Ravens guy trying to return a kick, and just being like, "Dude, this is what I'm doing. This is the choice I've made."
That's it. You can find me afterwards. I don't care. I'm sure that the Steelers were happy to pick up that fine that season.
Catch me outside. So we've got one last item before we introduce the newest member of the VIP Play team. I know everyone's dying to meet Will. Robert, quick, who had the best offseason so far in the NFL? I like your answer, by the way.
Wait, okay, fine. So we'll end up with it. I'm not going to go ahead and give you the joy of hearing it first. If I had to, I look. We know there's some teams that did very, very well. So we'll save the best for last. How about that, right? So let's start with the Lions. I think that the Detroit Lions were a team that did really, really well. Their key additions and their returning players. Derek Barnes at linebacker, DJ Reed at cornerback. Marcus Davenport, I thought, was a big need that they needed from the defensive perspective. Defensive tackle Ray Lopez. So what did I love about it? They made smart moves by retaining their key
Smart
players.
moves, right?
Right. Biggest outside additions was definitely Reed, who replaced Carlton Davis at a $4 million discount. By the way, so that's a solid upgrade. Beyond that, they lock up Derek Barnes, on a pretty budget friendly deal. I think that when you break down Super Bowl contenders, Jacob, and obviously Detroit was that. Heck, I had them as the favorite at one point late in the season to win the Super Bowl. You don't want to make unnecessary roster changes, but the
Mhm.
Lions, they wisely stuck with their core and stayed committed to the process. Yeah, I think that if we take a look at something that I didn't really care for, the move for signing Kyle Allen, I guess it's fine. Every team needs a veteran backup, but it kind of signals to the Lions, that they told Hendon Hooker, like, look, we have no desire, to have you here at all. So I don't think that he's got much left, left in a Lions career. So we'll see how they do that. Obviously look for a long-term quarterback solution, beyond, the next couple of seasons. For me, number two has to be Buffalo. What I loved about them, the Bills locked in their core players, before the market, inflated, right? And it definitely inflated. They made smart financial moves. So Khalil Shakir, his extension is just 15 million per year. Rousseau
He's a
got
good
20
player.
million. I think he was a huge down the stretch last quarter of the season, right? Bernard, 12.5 million a year. Rousseau got 20 million annually. These three young players are, going to be key pieces for the Bills. And they're going to be consistently contending, and they managed to keep them at prices well below their potential, on open market value. So, doing that definitely positions them well to return to the AFC Championship game. Really, the only thing I didn't love was, what happened afterwards, right? So the price tag that they had to pay for a guy like Joshua Palmer, he's
Mhm.
kind of essentially filling in Mac Hollins' role, right? And I
Yeah.
thought that was a little bit pricey to do that. He's solid,
Yeah. He's solid. He's a
right?
UT veteran as well.
Yeah.
I think Josh Palmer is a very good player. I'm a
I
fan of
do.
Josh Palmer.
Jacob, I just think I'm nitpicking here. I think they had a great offseason so far. Just thought that
Yeah.
maybe, don't pay him that much, but look, you got money to spend, obviously, with the salary cap being, extended to where it was. And obviously, number one, it's got to be the LA Rams.
Oh yeah.
Their key additions, returning players, of course. Matthew Stafford, as we talked about, there was all kinds of rumors, And actually, I think he was a lot closer to signing with the New York Giants than a lot of people want to let on. And I really think that his wife said, look, I am not interested in this East Coast lifestyle in any way. And I want to stay out West, I want to be an LA girl. And, so he signed a really,
She likes TikTok, that's for sure.
yes, she does.
It's actually pretty hilarious that she is the personality she is, and Matthew Stafford is how he is. It
Yes.
just seems odd that
Yes.
she's causing problems left and right, dude. And he's like, that's okay. I mean,
He's like, just,
uh,
shh, please.
I guess she got the whole team sick after the fires in LA by bringing a bunch of animals on the team plane when they went to Arizona. I mean, like that wasn't even a news story, and I read that. I was like,
No,
what?
no, yeah,
Oh man, she's funny though. She's got a great
it,
podcast too.
great podcast. And look, obviously, you once you know and love the West Coast lifestyle, it's kind of hard. I mean, heck,
Hmm.
I could speak to that firsthand. Growing up in Brooklyn and then in Queens, pretty much my entire life before. The second part of my bookmaking career ends up taking me out here to Nevada. It's West Coast. It's once you gotta get a taste for West Coast, it's kind of tough to turn back, Jacob. So
Hmm.
we could talk about some other time in another podcast. But to come back to the LA Rams, number one, easily their best offseason in the NFL's got to be them. If I had to, obviously we talked about Stafford, Devontae Adams, they got Jimmy Garoppolo as, for nothing to be the quarterback, backup, Larrick Jackson, Puna Fort. So the
Yeah.
offensive line gets bolstered really, really well. So, obviously we needed to find who was going to replace Cooper Kupp. I think I mentioned him. Devontae Adams has an All-Pro season remaining in the
Oh
tank
yeah.
for this coming season, so I expect very big things. So really, if I had to nitpick and you had to make me pick like one thing I didn't really like, I don't know. Maybe I would have chose Tutu Atwell. I thought maybe Demarcus Robinson would have been the better pick there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
speed I could understand, right? That's like the unique asset, but I don't know. I
Mhm.
would have I would
That's
have
all it
liked,
is, man.
yeah.
That's all it
So
is. It's the speed. And the thing about Demarcus Robinson, he's good, right? He's first of all, it sucks he went to San Fran, but him and Devontae, I feel like they're pretty similar build. They play a little bit of the
yeah,
same role,
yeah.
right? The thing about Demarcus Robinson, dude, is he didn't want to leave at all.
No.
Right. He was a diehard, I love it here. I'm never leaving. He said immediately after the season, I'm staying. And I thought he had already re-signed.
Yeah,
And then the
exactly.
news comes out he's gone to San Francisco. I was like, what? He was my 16th round fantasy pick every single year in LA.
So you could probably think that, all right, he's saying like, all right, well, I guess I'm not a Ram. So he had to have a, really tough conversation with himself and said, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm staying out west. I don't care where
Yeah.
or how, I'm staying out west. So, San Francisco has a lot of needs, especially, in the wide receiver room. So it made sense for him. I think he'll do very well in a 49er uniform. I think that
Mhm.
it would have been better off, with the Rams, keeping it. But you're good point. Demarcus Robinson, once he got Devontae Adams, you probably said, okay, that's probably good enough right there.
That division loves to do that. We got Cooper Cup moving with the division. We got Garoppolo. We
Yep.
got Demarcus Robinson. I think everyone likes to play against a team that let him go.
Yep.
I like it. Rams have the best offseason. I hope it's a great year for them. And I love that take. I like all three takes. Three great teams right there. It looks three of the best teams in the NFL having the best offseason. That kind of just makes sense. The math works out there. Um, so moving on to Will the VIP. So VIP Play Inc., right? That's the parent company that owns and operates the Zen Sports platform. That's the parent company that manages and is putting forth a VIP Play app. We've been incredibly lucky to bring on Will Heflin, who will be out here in a second. Will recently played baseball at the University of Tennessee. He's a Tennessee local. He brings a ton to our team. He'll be managing our VIP program going forward and doing a whole hell of a lot more here. We are super excited to have him on board, and he's our guest for the day. So, Will, whenever you're ready, how you doing?
I'm on. What's up, guys?
Right on. Yeah, Will.
Can you hear
Good
me?
to have you on here. Yeah, we could hear you
All right, sweet.
loud and clear. Smile and dial. I learned that from Will. When you make a phone call, you smile and dial. I like that a lot. So,
Yeah.
Will, I think before we get into our segment, talk about what you're thinking, can you introduce yourself for everybody? In our audience, tell them a little bit about yourself. I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah, for sure. So the smile and dial comes from my previous professional experience. I've been in some sales roles, done some logistics and some AI in my background. But like you said, played baseball at Tennessee. I was a pitcher. Growing up, I always played outfield as a left-handed thrower. I could never play infield. But when I got to college, I did 1 year of trying to do both and realized very quickly that hitting in the SEC was a different animal, as well as pitching. So better choose. And being left-handed, I ended up going with pitching. I think that was a good choice. But
Hmm.
Tennessee obviously has it rolling in terms of college baseball. The last few years, they've been dominant really since I left. Um, but just me personally, like you said, East Tennessee guy. I like to golf. I like watching all sports. I'm a junkie. I was getting all riled up listening to the draft talk and the free agency. I love the Rams take. They had a phenomenal. It's weird to see Cooper Cup go, but you
Hmm.
bring in DA-17, who does have some in the tank. I mean, he had some huge games with Rodgers in New York this year, and they were horrible. So he still runs a phenomenal route, and the Rams are going to be solid. Yeah, I mean, I have a background in sports betting. I've always loved it. The nuances of the marketplace and just the ins and outs of it has always been so interesting to me from an analytical side. And then you combine it with the unpredictability of humans, and then you combine that with just the competition of sport in itself, and just the chance to try to be right has always I've just loved that. So for me, it's always been fun. Really excited to work in it and learn a lot. So excited to be here and be a part of the squad.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, I didn't know you were such an NFL junkie. We'll throw the last NFL question on our list. We'll throw it to you first. Stephon Diggs, he's signing a 3-year, $69 million deal with the Pats. First question is Stephon Diggs still a wide receiver one? I mean, clearly on a depth chart he's going to be, but is still a, let's say, top 10 wide receiver? And then number two is how much negotiation do you think he had to put in to get that number to be exactly 69? Because I know he was doing something with that.
That's a lot to digest. Is is he still a true wide receiver number one off the ACL? I don't know. He certainly showed flashes of that with CJ Stroud, especially when he was without Nico Collins for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, like you said, he's going to be wide receiver one because of the team he's on. So I don't know that he has a choice. He's certainly going to demand the ball, and he's always had that wide receiver one kind of presence
Mentality.
in the way he carries himself. Yeah, he wants the ball, and he's probably still going to be an elite route runner.
I think, yeah.
But I'm somebody who's had ACL, and I know he's probably gone through the best of the best rehab. But it's hard to be exactly the same, and it's gotten so much better, and guys do it. Like Saquon has had it, and he seems more than fine. But it will take him some time, especially at the wide receiver position. Like, there's so many sharp cuts, and it wasn't, early in the year when it was midway through the year when he had it, right?
Week 8 or something.
Yeah, so I'm sure he feels like he's ready to go, but we'll just have to see. Ultimately, I think the answer is yes. He can still be a wide receiver one.
He looked good. So he kind of reminded me of Cooper Kupp a little bit. He looked really good on the short routes. Like, Julian Edelman used to run this in-out route on the Patriots. He ran it in the Super Bowl every year. Stephon Diggs was running that on Houston, and he was unguardable. So I think you're right. I think this is actually a good fit for him. I think he'll get the ball a ton. He's got a pretty good quarterback. And I think the only person beating with him is Mac Hollins, right? I couldn't tell you any Patriots receiver on the roster this year from last year. Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, I think from the top down, what the Patriots did, I actually think they had to do, right? A brand new team was almost a requirement with the new coaching staff, and that's exactly what they did. I think they brought in at least a dozen new off-season additions, which is remarkable. It's a remake from every single perspective, defense, offense. And so now you're looking, I don't say possibly, probably, wide receiver one would be Diggs. Number two is going to have to be Hollins at worst. And so, okay, now the question is, where do we position this team in the division, right? Are they the third best? We're not even going to, talk about them being, anything beyond that. And perhaps, they would probably think otherwise. I just think that right now, I
don't know, man. I feel like they're kind of a dark horse team this year, right? What's the name of the quarterback? The quarterback's good. The quarterback can really throw the ball. Drake May can really throw the ball. Yeah. He's got a good mentality too. I actually like Drake May, and I think him with Stephon Diggs, if those two can get in a lock, and they don't have the head coach holding them back this year. I mean, Miami's kind of shaky, right? Is Miami going to be a good team this year? I'm not thinking so.
So
They'll start hot.
They will. Yes, they will. They always start hot. Play on words, especially with where they play. I just think that if you had me make up, who would be the favorites? Obviously, look, I'm going to probably pick, Buffalo by a wide margin. It's not if they win the division; it's by how many games. And then the question is, who's 2 and 3? I'm still going to pick Miami here. I don't think that New England has the growth necessary, especially with so many new pieces that are in the room, to put it all together. I think if I had to give them the best possible season win total right now that I could, 6.5.
Oh, wow.
For a season win total. That'd probably be
Oh,
as good
wow.
as I can go.
That's low. I was thinking
Yeah,
8.5.
too much.
So
Too
your
too much.
Miami Dolphins take, is that a Tyreek Hill included take? He made a big stance after they lost that wild card game. He's got a point. I mean, they don't win big games. They don't win cold games. Congratulations on your 13th child, Tyreek. But is he staying in Miami, do you think?
If he doesn't, where will he go? Right? It's it now at this point. I think it's way too late for him
Yeah.
to find a new home because everyone's kind of already made their plans for next season. I mean, really, who's left? You know, Amari Cooper probably, and outside of that, it's just backups. So, I mean, look, I'm sure someone's going to want to open up their wallets, you know, as far as they can to bring him in. But I think week one, he's a Miami Dolphin.
I could buy that. I guess it is too late. I thought he was gone, though. I mean, he made it pretty clear he wanted out of there. I think he likes Miami, actually.
Yeah,
Miami's kind of perfect for Tyreek Hill.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, is it time, Robert?
You let me know.
I think it is.
I think it's always time. I think it's always a great time. And so you could go ahead and just let me loose, and then we could go from there.
Well, it is time, ladies and gentlemen. These questions, they remain the same. They've been tested. They've been, we've turned up the heat a little bit, but for Will, I think we're trying to break the oven today. I think this is going to be as hot as it gets. So Will, we warned you about this. This is our segment called 5 Burning Questions. And today you're at the center of attention. So good luck.
Yeah, throw me right in there.
Well,
Yeah.
we could talk sports all the time, and it's very easy for us to jump into conversation and just go from one topic to the next. But sometimes the most important questions are the ones that are right in front of us. And we're going to start with the first one. I'm going to make it simple to start because you're part of the team, and I want to make it an easier transition. So we're going to start with the first one. Will, what's the best sandwich?
And I'm from East Tennessee, so I haven't had the best Philly. I haven't, we're not really known in this area for sandwiches, but it'd be hard for me to say something other than a good Philly. Is that
Fair enough.
acceptable? I
It's
guess
perfectly
That's acceptable. We've heard that before, but you got to give us a little bit more about the Philly.
Yeah, there's no right or
Right.
wrong answer here, right? This is
That is true.
we're
I
not
like it
judging you in any way.
I like it the way it's actually made in Philly with the cheese whiz. I'll take the peppers and onions. I'll take I'm fine with provolone, and just give me a good quality roll and I'm good.
Oh yeah.
I can't fault Will here at all. It's that is a hearty sandwich, and now I'm actually quite hungry, and I still have 2 hours before I could eat. So that was bad. I didn't want to sit on that one for too long. So let's move on to number 2. All right, Will. It happens. We don't even know how, but eventually it always does. Will, what's the one thing that you own that you really should throw out?
See, my wife fights me on this. I want to throw stuff out as soon as like I'm not good about keeping leftovers. And if there's a bottle, I'm like, oh, we haven't used this sauce in a while. I'll just throw it away. Like it doesn't even have to be expired. But man, I've got some hoodies that should be long gone. There's I got a high school hoodie that really should be gone. There's holes in it. It's faded. It's bad, but I just love a good, comfortable hoodie, and I haven't thrown it away. So that's, I'm really actually pretty good about staying, somewhat condensed and not hoarding unnecessary things. But the hoodies in the closet are tough for me to get rid of.
I think that's a first for us to have somebody come on here and say, I'm actually good at throwing stuff out. Normally it's the opposite. Normally it's saying, hey,
Yep.
the wife has been asking me to throw this out for 3 years. and I have to lock it in my safe box so it doesn't get thrown out.
No, I'm like, get it out of here. The less stuff, the better.
This
It's a
is
great
great.
habit to have.
This
I
is a
mean,
great habit to
wish
have. I was
like
going to
that,
say,
but
great habit to have. A minimalist attitude is actually it's actually quite a virtue. So very nice. All right, let's go ahead and move on. We're basically at the halfway point here. So let's see what might be in the category of fear for you, Will. Fear. What is the scariest animal?
I'm not doing snakes.
no.
I'm not doing snakes, but probably the scariest, I would say shark.
Oh wow, dude,
I would say
that's my pick for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just did you also see Jaws too early?
Well, was it last year or like 2 years ago? There was just an uptick in reports of attacks, and I was just like, yeah, I'm good on the ocean. Like, I'm just not going in there again.
I don't do ocean.
The
I actually-
Megalodon movie was
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
sharks are scary and terrifying, and they're in the water. The water itself is scary. So
Yeah.
you throw big
But
creatures in there.
you're scared of sharks, but it seems like you're also kind of like intrigued by them. Like all the movies with sharks, you're watching those.
A good shark movie, yes, but real life, no.
Yeah.
Far, far away. I don't even want to be in a boat and see one.
No.
Not even in a boat. How about like if we just take you, like, what if we go, Will, what if we just go like, not so much shark, but like go out west and we just do like whale watching, right? You're in a safe vessel. You're not going to get tipped over. Not even that. You want nothing to do with the ocean.
That would be fine. I'd probably choose that over like a bunch of big snakes at the zoo or something. Yeah. In a controlled environment, I'll take the water over the snakes.
Jacob, we gotta go back. We gotta take a look and see if maybe we could have Gelmo go back and take a look at the archives. And if we did a ranking of like this answer, I'm telling you, reptiles, the reptiles have to be right there at the very top in terms of how many times these beasts come out and just scare the living wits out of us.
Well, we have a lot of reptiles. We have a lot of bears, and then we had our guest last week threw out the mosquito. He threw out the mosquito as the scariest answer. He was a very smart guy. I think he overcooked on that one a little bit. I think the 5 burning questions actually got to him a little bit.
It did. That one burned him. Yes.
Mosquito. He's right though. I mean, he was talking about places not in the U.S. where hey, a mosquito could, tiny animal, sometimes you can't even see it. Could one bite and you could be done. That is pretty scary. But I agree on the sharks. It's a great answer. And sharks are kind of good because sharks have so much lore attached to them. With the movies, there was just another movie like Sharks in Paris or something. That was actually an awesome movie too.
No.
I'm just like you, Will. I watch all the movies, but I am not getting in water.
Sharks in Paris. What does that even mean?
Do you know what I'm talking about, Will?
No.
Oh, okay. So
It makes me think it was a play on a song title.
No. It was not. It was a movie. It was called Sharks in the. It was like the Seine River. The sharks got into. It was a Netflix made movie. It was the sharks got into the Seine River, and it was during the triathlon in Paris. I don't know geography very well, so I could be really screwing up these names, but they were like in the cavities of the Seine River, and they were like, it was cool. It was actually a super cool movie. So, good watch if you want to check it out.
I will take your word for it. All right, let's get back to these burning questions. We're almost home, Will. So let's go ahead and let's lower the heat a little bit with this one. Have you ever asked someone for their autograph?
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Tim Hudson in the Braves parking lot in Atlanta. I believe I was like 9, and then that may be it. I've got a lot of autograph cards from when I was younger, but like in person.
Yes, in person.
I just don't know that I've ever been in a bunch of situations to ask. I tell you who I wanted to ask was Peyton Manning was in the dugout before a game I was about to pitch.
What?
And that was the most like That was
That
probably the
is so
closest
cool.
to starstruck I've been, and that guy's massive.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he looks tall, and he was tall in uniform and stuff, but being next to him, I was like, oh my goodness, like this is a different level. And I felt really awkward being with him, but I was in uniform. Like I obviously didn't have a card on me. I was about to go pitch, but
Sure.
I should have been like, hey, sign this baseball. I know it's not your sport, but sign this baseball. But yeah,
How'd you pitch that game?
not bad, not bad at all. Yeah,
Good.
it was an average outing.
Seeing Peyton Manning before start, that would have thrown me off a little bit. But that's why you played at University of Tennessee. So that's cool. That's super cool.
He's all of all. He's
Yeah.
Yes.
at a bunch of stuff. He was at the World Series when they won the national championship last year. He was sitting with Morgan Wallen and Josh Heupel. I was like, and Rick Barnes. Like, what a suite to be in for those guys.
Really, really nice. By the way, to call back to it, you were 9. Did Tim Hudson say yes? Did you get his autograph?
Yeah, it
Okay,
was
good.
much easier back then. Like, it's harder to get autographs now, I think. Like ever since COVID, I think that the access to players has just gone down, and they all do a bunch of, I guess, coordinated events to do stuff like that now. So,
Yeah.
you see videos of guys getting frustrated now of getting asked to do autographs, and like, I get it, but if it's a kid, sign it.
If it's like,
That's true. That's sad though, that you're right, actually. Autograph signings and like the accessibility to players has gone way down. Maybe a little bit because of social media, but I think COVID was the
Yeah.
catalyst. Interesting development here, Robert. You clarified, did he actually get the autograph? I had never considered someone would answer yes to this question if they asked for an autograph and got turned down.
yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, I don't know, maybe I've got like some deep embedded, like sad moment. Wait, I do. That's right. There was a player that I sent this was by mail. I must have been like 9 or 10 myself. And I sent an upper deck card to Will Clark, who was playing for the Giants at the time. And I even wrote like a handwritten letter. I said, Mr. Clark, I watch you all the time. I really love the way you play. Can you please sign this card for me? Never came back. Never came back. And I remember that, Will. I remember that.
Kept his card and everything. Mississippi State guy too. That's not a good look.
Didn't
That's the
do
guy
it.
who had to catch, right?
I think so.
I
He's
know.
a big left-handed hitter. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
First base. It's a funny. It's a funny thing, right? Because I don't know. Maybe I really don't want to say I'm jaded to all of it, but yeah, it's like even like if you're an athlete and you see a kid come up, how could you say no to a kid, right? The kid's looking at you. You see, he's got this giant smile. Of course, you want to sign it. And then I'm thinking, like, it's dad probably told him, hey, go ahead, kid, get an autograph. And I don't know. I hope that's not the case ever. But no, I can't ever say no to kids. Can't do it. Okay, well, that was extended and fun. I didn't expect to stay on that one for a while, but no, it was worth staying on that one. So this is where we're going to put it all together. Will, you've been great with these burning questions. The last one here is for you, and you're only going to be able to get one song for the rest of your life. What is it?
That is by far the toughest one. By far. Why
Not an album. You don't get an
Yeah.
album. You get one song.
So I do half of my listens are country and half of my listens are hip hop rap. Like my two favorite people right now, if I'm just listening to listen, not like working out or needing to get, amped up for something, are Rod Wave on the hip hop side and Morgan Wallen on the country side. So I got to choose one of their songs.
Choose one. Okay.
For Morgan, his new one is really good. I'm a Little Crazy. So it could be that one, or I could just go with the classic Rod Wave song, MJ Story, which is probably my favorite Rod Wave song. And that one's kind of good for any mood. Like I could work out to that and I could fall asleep to that. And I just like his voice. So I'm gonna go with that. MJ story, Rod Wave. You guys probably never will get that answer again, but that's what I'm going with because it's got a good beat and I don't get tired of it, which is hard to do for a song because you listen to one long enough, you get tired of it. But I've listened to that one for a good while and haven't gotten tired of it.
You know, Jacob, and that's why I love 5 burning questions. Never the same.
I love the Will taking us through like just the possibilities for the song and talking about it out loud and then
Yes.
narrowing it down.
Yep.
Yeah, if you just try to throw one out there, you're gonna get something really weird that you probably don't mean or wouldn't actually pick if you didn't take a second.
Yeah. Rod Wave. I know Rod Wave. I don't know if I know this specific song you're mentioning. There's a lot of Morgan Wallen played in Nashville too, so get used to that, I guess.
You would think, right?
Well, he's got like 9 of the top 10 country songs on the charts, and he has for like a year, 2 years now. Like even his old ones are still top 10. It's all him.
I
discovered him.
That is
when
some power.
We launched. I was like, what is this guy everyone's playing? And all of a sudden I was back listening to country music like I was playing baseball again. Because country music is kind of a baseball thing.
The classic country is, yeah.
They love their country music.
It's kind of transforming, if you will. I guess all music is.
So I played baseball at Tufts, and it was like almost a Bill Belichickian run program. And, we had our 6 a.m. practices, and every single practice for the entirety of the Tufts baseball program cycle would start with the exact 5 same songs. No differences ever, right? You did your stretching, you did your throwing, you did your whatever, with the same 5 songs. And one of the songs was Shipping Up to Boston. So I just cannot hear that song anymore. It's a pretty good song, but that would be my choice for this question, is Shipping Up to Boston.
Yeah. Mine would be Dixieland Delight, which is kind of like it's not like Rocky Top, but it's kind of a theme celebration song for like Tennessee and Alabama. Both kind of claim it and argue over it, but it's played so much. I'm just like, nah, I'm out on that.
By that one, I'm going to throw it's not a burning question. I'm going to throw an additional question here at you, Will, just to get to know you a little bit better. But who are your teams? What teams do you support? I know on the college side it's UT, but tell us about some of your other fandoms.
Yeah, so I've got a couple other college, I wouldn't say fandoms, but if they're not playing Tennessee, I'll root for them. And the first one's very interesting given the college football playoff. It's Ohio State. So my mom's whole side of the family's from like Cleveland area, so they're Buckeyes. Grew up rooting for Ted Ginn Jr., Troy Smith, those guys. So I always liked Ohio State. My dad's side of the family's from Florida. They came from South Florida, but kind of on their way to Knoxville. My grandfather taught at Florida State for a couple years, so that's his, which is also interesting given Tennessee's last football national championship was against Florida State, but that was always his second team on their side, so I would root for them in certain things. But baseball, I'm Braves, always been a Braves fan. NBA was Cavs because my grandfather from Cleveland. Anymore, I really probably couldn't care less. I would honestly say Lakers just because the Dalton Connect went there, and then they're just popular and kind of. I don't really have too much of a lean there. And then NFL, I've never actually really had a team. So when Peyton was in Indy, I was Colts. When he was in Denver, I was Broncos. And then since then, it's really been fantasy football biased or who I like. And right now, like since Joe Burrow entered the league, I've been a Bengals fan. So, and I love Jamar Chase, so I'm going to ride with them. Their offense, I guess, is all I get to root for because they don't play defense. They don't have any money left to try to play defense. So, but I loved him at LSU, so I would say Bengals. If the Titans ever act serious, I may be a Titans fan, but they haven't earned that yet. So we'll see. But I could really root for anybody. It's seriously like I I liked the Lions this last year. They were fun to root for. The Commanders were easy to latch on to
Yeah.
in the playoffs. And like when Brady went to Tampa, like I couldn't stand him in New England, but when he went to Tampa, I was like, yeah, I'm in on the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
And now I like the Buccaneroos because of Baker. So I
Yeah.
just like players.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, actually. I'm the exact same way. I totally caught Robert off guard by basically saying I've never rooted for a team.
I'm dumbstruck right now over this whole last 2 minutes because I'm starting to feel like, wait a second, this is a me problem now. I'm the only one left that's rooting for like the uniform, right? Where it doesn't matter who's there. This is your team and that's the way it is. But now I'm hearing Will's perspective, and Jacob, I'm like, wait a second, you just told me this like a couple of months ago. It's not the uniform. You're following the player, no matter where they go.
I'm rooting for the heart inside one player that motivates me to be better, right? I think that's what Will's saying with Joe Burrow, right? There's that famous clip of Joe Burrow getting lit up on his hands and knees and coming back and not throwing an incompletion for the rest of that game, not having another loss in his college career. For me, it's Matthew Stafford with the fake spike in Dallas being like, hey, that's a little bit of flair for the extraordinary. Nobody else saw it coming. That's what I'm about.
Well,
But
in the South, it's
real.
all college. So like the Titans have just never been able to kind of capture the same, I guess, diehard loyalty that the University of Tennessee has. And like it's kind of that way in other Southern states. Like our general stereotype of folks from up north is like, you guys care much more about pro. And so I think that's just a regional difference, probably like at least a little bit. And I think eventually I will have a team, but I'm kind of a free agent right now. So if you'd like me to, join your uniform, then make your case.
Let's a little bit about fantasy football. Sounded like that's what got you into the NFL. That's what got me into the NFL.
Yeah,
I used to think football was evil. I used to tell my friends, football is evil. You're going to hurt yourself. 2 years later, after they made me join their fantasy league, I was on the football team. So,
okay, what are you, the water boy?
No, I was actually the wide receiver number one, my man. And
no,
you're gonna meet. Yeah,
you were Bobby Boucher for those guys. Football was of the devil.
Yeah, I got some other funny stories that relate to that, but you'll meet my quarterback from high school. He comes to some of our events. That's not here nor there. Tell us about fantasy football, what it means to you, because Robert and I both love it too.
Yeah, I love it. I've gotten more and more into it as each year goes by, and so I've got a pretty casual redraft family league. I've got a really serious dynasty league. I've got a really serious redraft league. And all of our leagues are super flex, or not super flex, but no defense, no kicker. Some have super flex, some are just an extra flex. Every league I play in is either PPR or half PPR. I like it. And my older brother, who actually, he's probably even more nitty gritty into fantasy than I am, but he kind of got me into it, and it made us really close. So I always kind of just associated fantasy football with him, and that gave us something to talk about and hang out about. So but I love it, and it creates good friendships, gives you something to talk about all the time, and like the draft is so fun.
Yeah, I've got a league. We're going on year 13. It's that same league that I was the 10th person in. And it's all we ever talk about. All we ever talk about in our group chat is fantasy football. And every year when we see each other, every now and then we see each other. It's what we all have in common. Still, we're all in different parts of the country, doing different things. Someone's trying to be a doctor. I mean, good luck. But what was I getting at? Tell everybody what's a dynasty fantasy football league.
Dynasty is where it's a keeper league, so you don't redraft your whole team every year, and you only draft rookies. And so you may be thinking, well, why would you do that? Well, it creates a more long-term strategy from the beginning of year one, but even as you get further and further into it, draft pick capital you can trade. So, if you have a early first round pick and you think your team is to the point where you're in win now mode, you could trade it to somebody who's maybe trying to build for the future. And dynasty leagues are really intended for leagues that are going to be active and last for at least 8 to 10 years. I would say probably needs to be the minimum lifetime of a dynasty league. But it adds an element, and I like it just because it gives people different strategies to go about it from the jump, really. But also year to year, you kind of see the ebbs and flows of how rosters. It's more like a running a traditional franchise.
Yeah, it's almost like if redraft, you're the head coach of the team, fantasy or dynasty, you're now the GM, right?
Yeah, it's
The
a
year
good
after year
comparison.
dynamic. I used to be in a dynasty league with the guy who started Roto Grinder, something like that, like an incredibly savant fantasy football player. And somehow I got in this league, and I made some waves because I picked up Tyreek Hill back when he wasn't even in the league yet, and that worked out for me. But
That worked out really
fantasy's a lot of
well.
fun. I do love fantasy football. I guess it's close to what we do here. Kind of was the birthplace to sports betting.
Yeah.
Well, good. Honestly, we could talk about fantasy football for about an hour. We got one less segment. Will, I want to hear your thoughts. We got Vols versus Cats, right? Will can't speak on lines. Let's not include sports betting lines in the sake of conversation for this segment. Let's get some high level predictions. What's going to happen tonight? We got 7:39. We got like 2 hours till what is it called? Tip off. What do we think's going down tonight?
Yeah.
Basketball, I've always been able to use my brain more than my heart. Football has always been a battle. I would say my Tennessee fandom is much more emotional, baseball and football. But basketball, I like them, but I at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It's hard to beat a team 3 times. Kentucky's beat Tennessee twice. They've shot 50% from behind the 3-point line in both games. They went exactly 12 of 24. One of the games, Tennessee's point guard ended up playing. He went out and had an injury, Zakai Ziegler. He came back in, but probably wasn't the same. And then Kentucky, I believe it was the first game, won it without their point guard. So both teams have kind of seen each other at interesting times, and Kentucky was just too hot shooting wise both times. So it'd be interesting to see if Tennessee's able to figure out how they were getting such good looks from beyond the arc, and maybe that's a scheme thing that they can at least throw them off for a while and see. But being in Indy is closer to home for Kentucky for sure. But I think when you got a veteran team, you just can't let somebody beat you 3 times. So the easy thing to say as a Vol fan is, yeah, Tennessee will win. But I really like the Kentucky team. I really do. They do things that you want teams to do late in the year, and that's make big time shots and play fast and play athletic, and they do that. And I like the head coach that they brought in from BYU. So there's your high level view. If I had to give a pick, I would say Tennessee, but I really don't want. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
That was hard
Kentucky,
that was hard not to say any line or any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Gosh.
I'm literally looking at the lines as you're talking. You can't, but a team shooting 50% from the 3-point line, that's not sustainable. Robert, is this
You
the
said
game
that
going
after the
back
first
to
game.
Well, I
Then they
didn't
do
say
it again,
anything.
Robert.
Yeah.
I'm saying you as in people.
Exactly. You make a point to say it's difficult for you not to talk about spreads. How difficult do you think this is for me right now? Actually, Will did make a very good point, and the thing that I was wondering where the market would land is, yeah, it's true. Tennessee, we've seen this twice already, and Kentucky's won both times, right? And so you figure, okay, well, the third time going to make any difference, even if it's on a neutral court? Well, I mean, I've been tracking these teams, from the very beginning, and I have them set to where I think they should be in terms of a power rank. But it's the game that Kentucky's been playing over their last, I'm going to say all the way through the SEC tournament and then into the game that's going to be played right now. And it's hysterical because I'm literally watching the line on the game that we're talking about flashing right now. There's a move on it as we speak. However, the point being is that the market dictates the way it's supposed to be, right? I could only set up the market and have the public decide which way that, who's going to be the favorite and who's not. The efficiency that Kentucky has shown right now is really remarkable, but you're absolutely right. And Will made a great point to it. At some point, now that you have everyone healthy, everyone peaking at the exact right time on both ends, I think this is easily going to be the game of the day.
Yeah, great game. Great rivalry too. Only real rivalry I see tonight.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, the other ones, not
Michigan
so much.
State,
yeah, Purdue, Houston. Yeah, it's they're kind of like seeing each other for the first time.
That Auburn-Michigan game could be really good too. Michigan creates a real matchup problem for teams. The way they run that.
What is Michigan so good at?
Well, they've got I believe the Wolf kid is like 6'10", and then they've got Vlad who came in with the coach. Golden came in with the coach from FAU, and they run basically a two big man pick and roll from the top of the key, and so they just force teams out of the paint with their big men, and it's a real matchup problem. So when you think about what Auburn does great, and that's play through Broome, and they've got guys everywhere. It's just interesting to see how teams have tried to attack it, and both coaches have been to a Final Four. I know Auburn is seen as the stronger team, but I think that's going to be a good game. Michigan was a lot of people's kind of sleeper pick to make a deep run. So, but because of all the extra stuff around Tennessee, Kentucky, that should be the game of the day.
We've had a continuous debate, a continuous question we've asked, and that is how many teams from the SEC make it to the Final Four. We've got 7 or 6. I'm not sure, either 7 or 6 left. Robert, has your answer changed?
Yes. We were discussing the number, and a number of times we've come up with the same, which was 2. Right now, the best I can offer is 1 team that makes it into the Final Four.
Who is that? Bama?
Interesting.
How crazy is that? And I actually thought, is there any way that someone's going to mention Alabama? What they did last night was simply like impossible. Like, the level of accuracy that we saw, I don't know. I think they probably just caught Haley's comment at the right time. It's an amazing game. Alabama Duke should really be, that should be like a championship level game, but it's not going to be. And I have Duke as simply the best among everyone in the entire field right now. So I kind of have the East Regional kind of wrapped up, so it can't be them. But there's one team that I really think has kind of put it all together, and that's Florida right now. So if there was one for certain, I would carve them in stone. Florida definitely makes it in. Kind of weird to think, how does Auburn not make it all the way through? But for the same reason, as you mentioned earlier, Will, there's a chance. I know they're going to be, a significant favorite, and obviously the marketplace is going to dictate that as well. But for me, it's Florida or bust. That's it.
See, I could see there being 3. I really, Duke has looked like an absolute wagon, but what's the way to beat a wagon? And that's just make shots from way downtown. It's not really, there's not a great defense for that. Now, are they going to get the looks that they got against BYU against a longer, more athletic Duke team? No, but if Sears and company get hot, that would be the biggest worry if you're a Duke fan. And then I think the winner of Tennessee Kentucky will beat Houston. I think it's a good matchup for Tennessee, kind of a clash of styles. And then I think the just Houston only plays like 7 guys, and Tennessee will just grind away on them. That game might not. That game might have more fouls than points, but we'll see. If it's Kentucky, then I think Kentucky kind of out skills them a little bit. I just like whoever kind of gets through that game. If Houston won, right? Or
Yes.
yeah, Houston won.
Yeah, Houston, Purdue later.
And then I like Florida. They look really good. Clayton Jr. is probably the best guard in the country, in my opinion. If you're not considering Flagg a true guard, and then I think Auburn could, but I'm gonna go with 2. 2's probably the safe pick. Now that we just worked through who all's left, but don't Ole Miss might beat Michigan State tonight. Sean Padula he's got something to say about the best guard. He's been crazy. Is that his name?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes,
Padula?
it is. Yeah. 21 wins on the season is nothing to sneeze at. You're absolutely right. As great a season and a postseason as Michigan State's had, you're absolutely right. That one seems to probably be the tightest of all the matchups for me.
Cool. Well, we've put you through the ringer. Well, we put you through the 5 burning questions. We got to know you a little bit, your fandom, your love for fantasy football, and then your take on the bracket. We are super, super excited to have you on board here at VIP Play. We're going to be seeing a lot more of you on this show too. And for now, thank you for your time today, Will.
Yeah, been good to be here. And, once we get more comfortable, Robert and I will start butting heads over takes. And I could see some really good back and forth from us in the future. So I can't wait for that. Good sports debate here on the VIP Play Today show. So thanks for having me on. I'll be back. If you don't want to hear from me, sorry.
Awesome. Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Will.
Have a good weekend, my man.
All right, you guys too. Holler at me if you need me. Yeah. See ya.
Yeah. It's a blessing to have Will Heflin as a member of our company now. It really is. For you, Robert, I can imagine we've got another dude in the room who can just talk game 24/7.
It's all I do. I mean, to have him as part of our team right now really is going to be, exciting on multiple levels, right? It's super clear that he's got a real wealth of knowledge across all sports. And that's the thing that I'm going to really like. Ultimately, I could go ahead and just, bounce a ball off the wall and just say, okay, is this the right market? Is this the right price on this particular thing? And I could just, open up Messenger and say, well, how would you bet this? Are you buying or selling on this position? Right. And then I could just kind of go off of that, but it's great. It really is great. That was a lot of fun having Will on.
He's not backing down at all. I mean, you're talking about an SEC starting pitcher, man. This dude can't back down from anything. So
no,
I agree. I think you guys are going to have some great takes. I think maybe we'll look to do all 3 of us on this show. I mean, why not? I think you two are bouncing off the true knowledge off of each other. I'm here to make jokes here and there, have my input where I can, but I think that would be a good way to do it. I think that'd be a lot of fun for us.
Nah, you're selling yourself short, Jacob. You're selling yourself short.
I know the NFL, but the basketball is not my special. I do know the NFL. I will never doubt my knowledge of the NFL, my intuition for fantasy football, and my pure love for the sport. This is a great show today. Robert, do you want to go off on the Dallas Mavericks to close things off?
No, to put it shortly, no, I can't. I was too busy this week to take notice. So I'm going to give them a bye, but I'm still watching. I'm still watching you, all of you.
Very good. Great show today. We just covered Vols versus Cats. We skipped around a little bit. some final closing notes, right? This is the VIP Play Today show. We work for VIP Play Inc., and the VIP Play app is coming out soon. So we've been operating the Zen Sports platform in Tennessee. Very soon, the Zen Sports platform will be no more. We will be replacing the sports book with a state-of-the-art sports book that will allow you to bet on 200 plus leagues. Robert, that's your favorite song for the rest of your life. 200 plus
Jacob,
leagues.
200 plus leagues. Forget that. We're going to have 200 plus soccer leagues. Okay. Just that alone, forget about that. There's so much coming that it's hard for me to wrap my mind around the level of content that's going to be available in it. I'm super, super excited to roll it out and, see it open up, because it's something that I'm telling you right now, this great state of Tennessee has not seen anything to the level that we're about to roll out. I'm very excited for it.
That is true. We will have the most sports you can bet on. I was thinking this morning about some marketing language, and how about Live Now? Well, Live Now is great. How about Live Always? Right? That's the level of sheer sports we'll be offering on this platform. You'll be able to parlay them. You'll be able to same game parlay them. You'll be able to cash them out. You'll be able to tease them. All these adjectives for sports betting will be in the mix, and the features that support them as well. We really can't wait. If you're an existing customer, as I mentioned at the start of the show, if you've ever signed up for the Zen Sports app, check your email. We'll be sending out early access offers to all of our amazing community members, whether you download our app for a second, whether you're still active today, we have an offer for you, so you're not going to want to miss that. We think the launch date will be April 15th, although once the date is locked in finality, you certainly will know about that. With that, it's been another amazing episode of the VIP Play Today show. We love doing this with everybody on Fridays. It's a great way to end the work week and to get into the weekend. So hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope Tennessee wins, quite frankly. And I hope everyone stays happy and stays healthy. So with that, be good, everybody.
Take care, everyone.